Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a lovely watch that debuted in 2021. This is the Patek Philippe Aquanaut Chronograph, reference 5968G-001. A lovely watch, 42.2 millimeters in diameter in gray gold, and it is gray gold, not white gold. More on that in a moment. The watch is 14.1 millimeters thickened from lug tip to lug tip, 50.2 millimeters with a broad 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We got the first version of the Aquanaut Chrono in steel back in 2019. Last year, two versions debuted with white gold and color. So we got the blue and we got the green. This is the blue, and as you can see, it is a large watch. It wears much larger on the wrist than the old Nautilus Chrono or even the Nautilus Travel Time Chronograph. It is a broad watch and a massive case. So if you want something that feels almost like an Aquanaut offshore, or is to the Aquanaut what the offshore is to the Royal Oak, that's exactly what you get right here. I recommend a wrist no smaller than 15 centimeters circumference to wear this watch, though it's reasonably thin, and with a sloped bezel, it should slide underneath most cuffs. Taking a quick look at the strap on the Aquanaut, since 1997, a composite strap has been the way, or at least that's what Patek calls it. I call it rubber. We have a conforming profile, so it actually matches the slope of the lugs and then the curvature of the case, so it's fully integrated. Now that does create a little bit of flare, as you can't pull the strap straight down, so you get some of that virtual diameter I sometimes talk about, where the watch actually measures bigger than its dimensions across the wrist because of a rigid strap or a rigid bracelet. Well, it does thin out quite a bit on its underside as you move away from the case, and it is a cuttable strap. The full length is present, as this is a brand new Patek Philippe strap, and you will be able to cut it to suit your wrist. We have a lovely deployant clasp. You can see it is all polished in white gold. Double deployant action. We have a little component of the Calatrava cross. You can see the motif externally, and then you can see it inside as well. Twin trigger release. So this cannot pop open by accident. It is a real sports watch clasp. Rolling around, you can see that the case is strong. It has sharp angular lugs. They are integrated into the case band, but they have a lot of presence. There's a bevel on their flank. They're polished on their tops. They're satin on their shoulders. There is a pusher adjuster, which is an artifact of this movement's origin in the 5960 an annual calendar Flyback chronograph. So there were pusher adjusters for the calendar. It was a more comprehensive calendar on the 5960. Here we just have the date, but we still have the underlying mechanism for setting the calendar. So the date is set with a pusher on the case flank. Now the watch was inspired by the Nautilus, which in turn was designed by Gerald Genta, building on the design language he had established for his own 1972 Royal Oak. So what we have here is a distant relative of the design of the original Royal Oak. It went from Royal Oak to Nautilus, and then in 1997, Patek decided they needed something visibly linked to the Nautilus, but a little bit more affordable and accessible. So this became their junior sports watch with the Air de Famille, and so we have this rounded off a polygon-style bezel that's satinated on the top and polished on its flank. Now you can see it has three components. There's the vertical component, the sloped outer face, and then the vertically satinated top. You can see we have a little bit of a shear guard for the crown to protect it from shearing. This is a screw-down crown. The watch is 120 meters water-resistant. Chronograph pushers are satinated on their outer face, beveled on their edges, and then you can see their polished top, flank, and bottom. We have a dial that is a fume fade, so brighter blue at the center, almost navy black at the edge, very dark blue at its edge. We have applique indices and numerals and hands in polished white gold. We'll do a lume shot now. You can see the watch has plenty of luminescence, both numerals and indices. The dial has the geosphere cut that's long been a signature of the Aquanaut, and you can see that that same cut is present on the strap. We have a 60-minute chronograph register, which I love because I think 30-minute chronograph registers don't give me enough information, and if I have to think about whether I'm looking at the first or second 30 minutes of a time period, the watch is creating more work than it's worth. So I like these 60-minute registers. It does have a Flyback Chrono, so you can reset and restart without first stopping. Another fun feature, because you can see when the chrono's not running, it's a fairly dead dial. Because of the vertical clutch that's used to engage the chronograph, there's no extra wear and tear, so you can leave the chronograph running full time if you just like to have your hours, minutes, and seconds at center on the dial. Also, because of the vertical clutch, there's no jump to the chronograph seconds hand. It always starts seamlessly. Now, there is a relatively exotic movement in here. Automatic winding, 55-hour power reserve, unidirectional winding, ceramic bearing, 6-position adjusted, free-sprung, anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, caliber 28-520. It debuted again back on the Nautilus Chrono and the 5960 in 2006. It remains a first-rate chronograph caliber. So you've got a column wheel and a vertical clutch for the chrono, so you get that crisp column wheel feel when you're operating it, and it beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. As with many watches in this price point, you have a combination of mechanical finishing and hand finishing, but I will say that Patek uses more obvious hand finishing than its counterpart Audemars Piguet, which is more obviously machine-aided and industrial. This still has a lot of elements, such as the hand-finished bevels that are started mechanically but then finished the old-school way, and that comes across. You can see there's a free-sprung Gyromax-style balance. That's something Patek has been doing since the early 1950s, one of the first free-sprung balance architectures that makes the watch both more rugged and better able to take and hold the 6-position adjustment that is lavished upon it. I should also mention that the confluence of various features in this movement means Patek Philippe guarantees it accurate to within -3 + 2 seconds per 24 hours, which is ambitious because very few haute horlogerie brands actually give you an accuracy guarantee. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.